Let me see what's going on. It is 12 people waiting to get in, so let me admit everybody. And I don't know if you're one of the 12. Yeah, it's starting to let everybody in now. And now it's asking me to do updates. So
it was a dim world, and I felt beyond thinking, beyond emotion, beyond hope.
okay, I see Ishmael now. I'm gonna make him the host.
We're gonna say.
Okay,
So just bear with me. We're gonna get us started.
yeah, I see myself now.
Okay, that's great. We getting there now.
Different. But I'm doing it.
Mr. Ishmael is now the host, so you tell him that. And then after that, if you don't mind, after I do that, then we can get started, 'cause I can't do both. And I apologize.
No problem.
My system is still trying to update, but I'm not getting ready to do that right now. Okay, looks like we got pretty many people in. Okay, he knows he's the host. So Dr. Batewood, that's yours?
I see 33 participants.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like they're all in.
Okay.
Everybody's in.
Then I will call the meeting to order. Sorry for,
Yes, I'm in. Are you in, Ms. Oswald?
I am, yes, but I don't see Veronica.
You don't see whom?
Veronica, I'm on. Okay.
She's listening.
again, I'm calling the meeting to order. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We do have a quorum. May I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is one item we need to remove from the agenda, and that is item I, concerning Ms. Williams' item. DocuSign electronic signature. I had some questions that needed to be cleared up before we could approve this agenda item. So strike it from your agenda, please.
Thank you.
We'll now go to announcements. Ms. Oswald,
I have none.
Ms. Veronica
Yes.
Real.
Yes, I just wanted to announce to the principals, we are still, I had our governing council meeting yesterday, and we are still seeking parents to serve on the SSD PAC. The meetings are virtual right now, so if you have anyone that you think might be interested in serving and representing Riverview Gardens on the SSD PAC, please let me know. You can get in contact me through my Riverview Gardens email. Thank you.
No announcement other than for the record, we support and mourn with Shay Fields at the loss of her father. We will continue to keep her in our thoughts and prayers. Ms. King, are there any patrons who wish to speak to the board?
No, Dr. Batewood.
Okay, then we'll move to the superintendent's report. Dr. Spurgeon, are you on?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Got three items this evening. The first, just want to remind
He's
everyone we
mute.
have the. Can you hear me? Everybody can hear me?
Yes, I can hear
So
you.
the first
You can hear
item,
For some reason, I cannot.
testing 1, 2. Can you hear me now,
I'm
Dr.?
not
Becker?
on mute.
Nope. Testing 1, 2, test.
Oh, I know why I can't hear.
There you go.
Ah. Dr. Spurgeon,
Yes, I'm here.
I didn't have my headphones on. Start over again, please.
I will. So
Okay.
three events coming up this evening, later this week and this month. The first big one's coming up this Friday, September the 17th. It's the North County Incorporated's annual leadership breakfast, where they'll be recognizing some leaders in our area. That starts at 7 a.m. and it's being held at the Marriott St. Louis Airport. Got two other events that I'm going to have Dr. Patton talk about this evening. We have a tremendous collaboration, as you know, with a Little Bit Foundation. And we have a couple of great events that are coming up, the What's Next Fair and also the Highland Food Market. So Dr. Patton, will you share some information about these two great events?
Absolutely. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Very good. So there are two events coming up.
Hold on for a moment. Someone needs to mute himself. Continue, Dr. Patton.
Okay. Good afternoon, SAB members, colleagues, and stakeholders. There are two events coming up that Dr. Spurgeon alluded to. They are the What Next Fair that will be held at our high school on October 8th. It will be outside at the back of the cafeteria for COVID reasons to ensure the safety of our students. That will be held from 10 to 1 p.m. again on October 8th. There will be many vendors there, colleges there, organizations there that will work with our high school students. What's next means what's next after graduation. So they will be focused on providing our students with next steps related to secondary education or higher education, as well as summer employment and internships. Also, the week of October the 11th, we will open up our Highland Food Market. That will be in our Highland Elementary School. This will be to serve the food desert that's in the area of Highland and Glasgow Elementary Schools. It will be a store, so to speak, that will be set up within Highland Elementary School. It will be open on Thursdays from 10 to 1 p.m. and parents will make appointments to come in and shop. There'll be many items there, from fresh fruits to canned food items to produce and dairy and things like that. So we are looking forward to opening these two. We're opening up the Highland Food Market to support our families in that area, as well as our What Next Fair, so that we can have our students focused on higher education, as well as summer employment and internships. Are there any questions about that?
Ms. Morrill,
I have no questions. I'm just happy to hear that.
Ms. Oswald,
Same, no questions.
no questions. Thank you, Dr. Patton.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have for this evening.
Okay, let's go to the information items first, the travel report. Ms. Sharp.
Yes, good evening to the Special Administrative Board, Superintendent Spurgeon, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I'm presenting the travel report for September 2021. As requested, the report includes pertinent information such as the name of the employee, school or department, name of conference, projected budget cost, start and end date for the event. So this report does have two items on here that occurred in August. However, there was some staffing issues and the communication did not reach my office back until later. And we were successful in securing this information. And so that's why it's appearing on this report now. So this concludes the report. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald,
No questions.
Ms. Morrill.
I have no questions.
I have no questions. Thank you, Ms. Sharp.
Thank
Early Childhood Education Program Evaluation, Dr. Meeks.
Grading Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues and community. I'll be presenting tonight the information on the Michelle Obama Early Childhood Academic Center Program Evaluation. Okay. Thank you. At the Early Childhood Center, we focus on the three main components of our vision, which is to foster connections, inspire curiosity, and develop lifelong learners. So when we evaluate how our current programming and curriculum is impacting our scholars, we continue to keep these at our forefront as our components as in our conversations. We all know that last year was a challenging year with the pandemic, but we continue to make the impossible possible. Michelle Obama Early Childhood Academic Center compromises Parents as Teachers program, which offers parent education, developmental screening, along with group connections that they are currently having at the center. The Early Childhood Education Center is accredited by Missouri Accreditation of Programs for Children and Youth, and we continue to be accredited. We are also licensed by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. We offer full day programs, which is by Title I, which there is no cost to the family. So that is a great component for our families. Also, we are including the Early Childhood Special Education Program, where we have morning and PM sessions for them. And also we have Extended Care Program, which starts at 7 a.m. To 8:15 a.m. And then we have afternoons from 3:15 to 6 p.m. There is a cost for that. Our working parents they really appreciate that. Our full day programs are comprised of 3 to 5 year olds in the classroom. Children must be 3-year-olds by July 31st of the upcoming school year. And we have certificated, highly qualified early childhood teachers in the classroom, along with an instructional assistant. So our ratio is low. We have 2 adults per 16 children. The early childhood special education component, we take referrals from parents as teachers, First Steps, and also parents that are referring their children to the special education program. They're evaluated by our diagnostic team to find out if they are qualified for different services at our center, and they do not have to leave the center for those services. So that is a great component that we have. After the IEP is written, they receive those services. They can include speech, occupational therapy, or physical therapy. Currently, we have 4 scholars that are dually enrolled in our program. That means that they both go to our special education classes and the regular ed classrooms. You have to be 3 by your 3rd birthday, you can attend SSD classes. So that's a great thing for them. They have a little bit more leeway than we do. The enrollment currently at Michelle Obama is 178 scholars in our program. We do have a wait list of more than 100 families at this time. We have 12 general education classroom teachers and 4 SSD classrooms. We have 49 SSD scholars that are enrolled in our program, and about 40 of those are itinerant students. Attendance last year was 91.97. And then I did the attendance again, and our average was 87%. We got hit pretty bad by the pandemic, as we know. So our attendance was a little bit lower than normal. So this is how we assess our scholars at our center with our benchmark. We have 10 different areas that we look at. We have math and ELA sections that we currently assess them at. So for last year, for our language domain, our meeting and exceeding, those are our averages. Our colors, they were pretty high. Letter ID was kind of low compared to past times. Environmental print was as well. They didn't quite have the exposure that they needed, and rhyming concepts as well is pretty low, and sound concepts was pretty good. So that was pretty good for that. And the math domain was low again. Shapes were higher, and number identification was pretty low. Row counting was really good, and quantity concepts and quantitative concepts was really high. So our goal 1, increase pre-academics. We did meet that. Letter identification, those are the skills again that the pre-academic skills that we were focusing on at that time. And the way we do that is by using our data tracking system. Next slide, please. We complete our data tracking system during PLC meetings, and we use this tool to help us focus on our scholars' achievement in the aforementioned domains that I mentioned earlier. Goal 2, increase parental support. So last year we added new events for parents to engage with our children during school-wide virtual level events. We had a virtual kids invite someone special dance in February. We had about 10 families in attendance. They were all excited. We had a virtual parent group connection, and we also had our flying out of pre-K walkthrough style ceremony for our scholars. It was outside in the front yard. Some of our celebrations that we had this year, we read 3,755 books. Our goal is usually like 10,000 books, but due to the pandemic and everything, you know, it was just a little harder to read books with the children online. We did offer books through Books and Buddies, expanded the outdoor garden. We have some seat the table items in our backyard garden, pumpkins and all kind of basil and mint things growing back there that they go and pick and they use in the classroom. We started a pilot program with the Little Bit Foundation for STEAM, and it's called Novel Engineering, and that has been, and we've had PD for that, and also the children have been utilizing the kits that they have dropped off at the center. We had 125 scholars that graduated, and we also serviced 40 of those scholars this summer to help with the achievement gap. Some of our partnerships that we currently have and had are Little Bit Foundation, Project Backpack, St. Louis County Library. They come for the bookmobile, Loom Foundation, and Lutheran Family Services. Those are all the different partnerships that we utilize to help keep us where we need to be. And we appreciate all of our partners. Goal 3 was improve school climate. So this is our matrix. It is passed out to the teachers and it's reviewed every day with our scholars, and it's sent home as well so they can continue to reinforce our expectations. So 70.2% of the families feel that their input and suggestions are valued at our center. And 91.7% families say that their scholars have a positive learning environment at our center. And 87.3% of our families say that their scholars feel safe at our school. This quote here just keeps us a focus on what we're focused on in our school to make sure that we're empowering ourselves as long as the children to have a good education and to continue to lead by example. So that's what we're doing here. We're starting at the bottom and we're moving to the top. Do we have any questions for this presentation?
Ms. Morreal,
I have no question.
Ms. Oswald?
No questions.
What, Dr. Meeks Williams, which of those programs did you tell me there was a charge for?
The extended daycare,
Oh, got you.
morning care, yes, is $10 and the afternoon is $15.
Okay, thank you. And what kind of records go from Michelle Obama to the kindergarten if they're in our district?
We send them their benchmark assessment, which is the different domains that I mentioned earlier. They get that information along with the progress report.
Okay. And this question is more for Dr. Nichols. Dr. Meeks Williams, I think you said there's a waiting list of 100?
Plus.
Yeah, we did have HDC preschools at Lewis and Clark, and they're no longer there. So I'm asking Dr. Nichols, what are we doing with that space that used to be for HDC preschoolers?
So at this time, the space is still available. We do not have a program over there. However, I am collaborating with the YWCA program at this time for other options. In addition, Dr. Williams is also part of our conversations to try to identify other options for our scholars.
Okay. And so my follow-up question is, if there is space available over there and it's meets state requirements, why don't we use that space for some of this waiting list of over 100?
So the challenge is trying to, again, find candidates to come into the district to work. Currently, Dr. Williams is having a challenge with finding staffing in her building.
Have we advertised for it?
No, I think we did advertise for the assistant in some of the vacancies. And Dr. Williams has been interviewing and he's been reviewing some of those applications.
It appears to me if we have space and it's suitable for every childhood, we should not have this waiting list and we've got space to accommodate. I understand the personnel, but we should be working with the HR department to at least advertise for those positions. Dr. Meeks Williams, my final question. No, you've answered that about the records. No other questions. Continue. Yeah.
Thank you. Our next presentation will be by our Parents as Teachers Coordinator, Diane Droney.
Okay, before she comes on, I did have a, I'm unmuted, I'm so sorry. Before she comes on, I did have a question. I heard you all say something about working with the YWC, is the Y. So now, can you explain a little bit about what that's all about?
Yeah, so that was the program that we initially had in the district last year, but they didn't come back this year because of the decline in numbers due to COVID-19. And so because their enrollment declined, they weren't able to continue their program in our district.
Okay, I see. Their program, okay, I got you now. I just didn't hear that right. Thank you.
My other comment was the enrollment at Lewis and Clark is very low. So if we've got available space, that's one way to bulk up at least the use of Lewis and Clark, rather than having those rooms vacant and we have 100 or more of our preschool scholars who can't come to preschool because we have no staffing. Continue, Ms. Williams Meeks Williams.
Thank you. I received that information and noted it as well.
Mhm.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon, Riverview Gardens colleagues and community. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Could I get the PowerPoint presentation, please? Thank you. This evening, I'm presenting information on our Parents as Teachers program. Parents as Teachers is a home visiting program for families with children prenatal to kindergarten entry. Currently, Parents as Teachers is offered in every school district in Missouri in some capacity. Here in Riverview Gardens, we're able to offer the program year-round to our families. So even when school is not in session, we are still visiting with families and providing all the components of the Parents as Teachers program. So often, Parents as Teachers is the first experience that a family will have with the school district. PAT empowers parents to be their child's first and most important teacher. We stress to parents how their role in parenting affects their child's development, and we support them in helping their child develop, learn, and grow to realize their full potential. The goals of Parents as Teachers put forth by DESE and the Parents as Teachers National Center are to prevent child abuse and neglect, increase parent knowledge of child development and improve parenting practices, increase children's school readiness and success, and provide early detection of developmental delays and health issues. And we strive to meet these goals through the 4 components of Parents as Teachers, which are personal visits with families, developmental screenings, group connections to help bring families together, and connections to resources in the community. So in our past program year, 2020-21, all of our services were delivered virtually. So our parent educators really met the family's needs. They were very creative in getting their visits in. So we used a variety of video conferencing platforms. So we used Zoom, Duo, even Facebook. Some families either couldn't do video conferencing or they just weren't comfortable with it. So parent educators even did visits over the telephone. And to help facilitate those visits, they went to the homes and dropped off activities and information and books beforehand, or after the visit, they provided developmental information either digitally or dropped that off with the families as well. All of our group connections were done virtually through Zoom, and we did have a challenge with participation, with getting parents to participate in those groups. With some of the groups that we offered, we partnered with the St. Louis County Library, Family Forward, and Cardinal Glennon Hospital. Looking at our other components, developmental screenings. So for every child enrolled in Parents as Teachers 3 months up to age 5, they were offered a developmental screening virtually. So this was a challenge. And again, parent educators were very creative in getting those screenings done, providing items to the families that they didn't have in the home to try to do those. With the when school resumed in March and the scholars returned to Michelle Obama, we started doing in-person screenings. And throughout the year, we offered to our daycare providers, those providers that we generally partner with as far as doing developmental screenings. We offered virtual screenings, but no one took us up on that. So we did not do any screenings outside in the community the last program year. We continue to connect families to resources in the community, just like we always do. And we continue to provide diapers to those families who had children under 4 years of age. And that's through our partnership with the St. Louis Area Diaper Bank. So currently we are offering kind of a mix of services. And so we're doing visits in person, and we're doing video conferencing, telecommunication. The in-person visits we're doing either outside, so parent educators are meeting families on their front porch or out in their yard. We'll meet them outside in one of the areas outside of Michelle Obama. And then we also have a safe visiting space that we can see families inside of Michelle Obama. The group connections, we are also going to continue a hybrid. We started doing some offering some outdoor groups in person with social distancing this summer. And we're going to try to offer one more. We're hoping the weather holds out. So we're going to try to get one more in October. And what we've noticed is that the families are really desiring that those in-person services. They seem to really enjoy the group connections that we've offered. Our attendance has been better than it was all of last year. They're wanting those in-person visits, but of course we're limited to how many of those that we can do. So our teen program during the 2020-21 program year, it was a challenge to get our teens to participate in the group connections. So they were all done virtually. We normally would do those in person at the site of the school. So this year, now that school is in session, we're planning on offering a hybrid. We're going to continue to partner with the high school, the middle schools, and ACE in identifying those parents, those teens that are pregnant or already parenting, and try to get the groups going again in person and offering those personal visits both virtually and in person. Next slide, please. Parents as Teachers National Center currently requires 21 essential requirements of PAT programs to maintain affiliate status and show fidelity to the PAT model. Last program year, we were able to meet 19 out of the 21 essential requirements. Next slide, please. And this is a graph that shows the benchmarks that we were able to meet. The one that's a little bit lower is one that we often struggle with, which is the visit frequency. But we did really well in all of the other areas. And I have to say, I'm really proud of my staff that we achieved this, because it was very challenging last year during the pandemic. So our enrollment last year was down more than it has been for several years, but already in the last couple of months, we've had a lot of families calling in and getting recruited. And so enrollment is up. We currently have 107 families enrolled, and that's 156 children total. 88 of those are prenatal to 3 years, and 68 children are 3 years to kindergarten entry. Can I answer any questions?
Ms. Morrill,
I don't have any questions.
Ms. Oswald?
I have no questions, just a comment regarding our involvement again with our students who are parenting or pregnant. Thank you.
Regarding the funding for PAT, what's the reimbursement mechanism?
We are reimbursed per visit and per developmental screening.
Okay, and is there, what's the cost factor with that for each visit? Do you know?
What we get reimbursed?
Yes.
Yeah, so for what we call a high needs visit, which most of our, I'd say probably 99% of our visits are high needs, it's $80 per visit. And then we get reimbursed $30 per developmental screening.
Way back when, there used to be a quota that DESE gave districts for the year. Do they still have that quota?
Yes, they do. They call that our allocation, and they give that to us. And we were not able to meet that last year. DESE was very generous and gave us extra money anyway for this year. So, and they did that for all of the programs across the state.
No other questions. Thank you. We'll now go to our discussion items. Item A, high and middle school abstinence program. Ms. Ross.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues, and the school community. Tonight, I am here to offer for discussion the continued services for the Curb the Urge program at our middle school and to extend the services at our high school. The Curb the Urge program focuses on strategies to refrain from sex, strengthen and focus educational goals, as well as prevent incidences that lead to pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. The Curb the Urge program is in partnership with UMSL's Institute of Mental Health. We are in compliance with the board policy of IGAEB, which gives the content of basic topics on sexual instruction, as well as offer consent for our students to have their parents provide consent for them to attend the programs when they are in session. I am recommending that the board approves the services provided by UMSL Institute of Mental Health. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald?
No questions.
Ms. Morrill?
I thought I heard you say that this is a continuation of the program.
Yes, so we have offered Curb the Urge to both of our middle schools over the last couple of years, and we are extending those services to our high school this coming school year.
Can you give me a guesstimate of how many students participated last year?
I cannot, but I can research that information and get that back to you.
Okay, thank you.
I thought I read in one of those attachments that the program included students starting at age 15. Am I incorrect on that?
So there are two programs, Dr. Beckwith. Curb the Urge 1 is at our middle school, and Curb the Urge 2 is for our high school scholars.
Okay, that explains what I needed to know. Thank you. Item B, Renaissance Star Renewal, Dr. Kennedy.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board members, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I'm presenting an item for discussion for the annual renewal of the Renaissance Assessment Platform. Riverview Garden School District began using the Renaissance Assessment Platform last year, beginning in October. This platform is being used to assess scholars in grades K to 12 in the areas of reading and math. And the scholars will be given an assessment in these two areas 3 times during the 2021 and 22 school year. It is currently being administered now and will occur again in the winter and again in the spring. Staff members will be trained on how to analyze the data from the assessments to determine where the scholars are currently at and how much growth the scholars make after they take the winter and the spring assessments. Teachers will also use the data to determine which skills our students have mastered and which skills they need additional support on. Professional development to the staff members is done through the district's champion committee. This committee receives training directly from Renaissance, then communicates the information obtained from the training to the building for implementation. It is recommended that the SAB approve the purchase of the Renaissance assessment platform not to exceed $82,753 for licensing and configuration and $8,200 for professional development. The funds will come out of the building federal programs funds as it did last year. Are there any questions I can answer?
Ms. Morrow-Real,
I have no questions.
Ms. Oswald?
No questions.
I have no questions. Thank you, Dr. Kennedy.
Thank you.
Extracurricular and co-curricular activities, Dr. Nichols? Do I have Dr. Nichols or someone from curriculum and instruction?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon and colleagues. This evening, I am requesting discussion of the extracurricular and co-curricular standard operating procedures document and the implementation of the extracurricular programs for the 2021-2022 school year. The extracurricular program will afford many opportunities to enhance communication skills and develop new friendships and apply new skills for scholars. In addition to activities, we have reinforced the students' ability to think critically and to explore new avenues of thinking while collaborating in a relaxed environment. The implementation of the programs will be supervised at the school level by school administrators and or their identified staff at the building. Do you have any questions?
Ms. Morrow-Real?
Who determines how much stipend each program gets?
So that's determined in the budget department. So the budget department will give us information and tell us what amounts will be allocated for each school. And I believe that's based on enrollment.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Oswald?
No questions.
Okay. It would appear to me, Dr. Nichols, that human resources would be the place to go to determine the pay scale for each of those. Am I incorrect?
Yes, so the pay scale is determined in collaboration with Human Resource and Dr. Singleton's office. However, I think Ms. Morrow's real question was about the amount, and I think the amount for each school is determined by the enrollment numbers.
Was that your question?
Yes, it was, but is that enrollment of based on interest of the student? Or, because there are some, I looked at the list and there are some programs, and I'm not taking away from any program, of course, but there are some programs that seem to be intramural in some respects, but then there are other programs that seem like they support education and learning, but the budgets are not that high.
Right, so I would definitely have to speak with Dr. Singleton because their formula and amounts are determined within the budget department. So
Okay.
Ms. Morrow-Real, we can forward you that information after
Please,
I
thank
have
you.
a conversation with Dr. Singleton.
Thank you.
Dr. Nichols, I've never seen a report that shows the number of students enrolled in each of these programs. And my concern here is there ought to be a minimum amount of students to carry that program forward. We've done a very good job in removing some of those, especially elementary programs, about line dancing and so forth and so on. But what is the mechanism that shows how many students have enrolled in these various programs at the elementary and middle school?
So on the document, one of the lines asks for the teachers to submit the number of participants, and they do have to keep a sign-in sheet so we can collect that information and provide it to the board as we move forward.
Okay, has Have those sheets ever been collected or inspected?
We do have those sheets, and the building principals are responsible for monitoring that at the building level. But we do have the sheets, and the principals do submit the sheets to the C&I department,
Okay.
along with the evaluation form.
In a former district, when I was in charge of programs like these, teachers sometimes submitted enrollment figures and those students were not there, but they simply wanted to keep the program going. And so there's really no kind of on-site monitoring to see the number of students enrolled.
Well, the building principal is responsible for monitoring their programs that are at their schools. So the information that we receive will have to be verified via the building principal.
Okay, so my question really wasn't answered. I know the principal is responsible, and I guess I would have to go beyond that to see what the principal does to see that those classes at least have the minimum number required for a teacher. Do we have a minimum number for our programs?
No, we don't have a minimum number, but they should be utilizing a sign-in sheet.
Okay. That's something to look at to say at least for this program to go, you need a minimum of 10 students, 8 students or something. Otherwise, you can have 1 student and you have a sponsor collecting the salary for that. No other questions? Strengthening student, I'm sorry.
No, I said, thank you. I will note that.
Strengthening student learning in block schedule classes, 9 to 12, Ms. Sharp.
Yes, good evening again. Tonight I am presenting to the Special Administrative Board this request for professional development, strengthen student learning and block schedule. This is for the high school for students grades 9 through 12. In light of the pandemic, there have been challenges associated with this pandemic, which has caused an increase in the number of substitutes in the building, as well as we have a large number of first or perhaps even second-year teachers. This is a request from Mrs. Nave, principal at the high school, and I really have been working to try to secure a facilitator for well over a year. We were fortunate within the last 3 to 4 weeks that we were able to secure or at least to begin having conversations so that we're at this point. And so we are requesting professional development for the high school. This professional development would be occurring on the 24th. As I said, this is unusual. I don't normally make requests of this nature, and certainly at this short time period. But when the gentleman said that they were able to do the PD, then I collaborated with Mrs. Nave and we began going through this process. Mrs. Nave is online, and I don't know if she has any other information to add to this presentation.
I just want to offer a good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues and community. I just want to offer my full support. As Ms. Sharp has stated, we have an increase in the number of substitutes on our campus, as well as new teachers. And even some of our seasoned teachers could benefit from professional development or learning about how to teach with block schedule. Our schedule is composed of 90-minute classes. We have 4 90-minute classes each day. And it takes a great skill to learn how to teach within 90 minutes. And I know that this will be very beneficial for the teachers on our campus, as well as those guest teachers who are performing in the areas this year. Thank you, Ms. Sharp, for that.
Yeah, so this request is a one-day online session. There will be a facilitator that will deliver this presentation. There is a program booklet that will come with it. All the high school staff will be involved in it. This session is not to exceed $3,613, and this will come from the PD 1% fund. So it is our request and prayer that you will consider this presentation and then to approve for tonight so that we can begin continuing with the planning.
Ms. Oswald,
Question.
Ms. Morrow.
So this will help them to better frame that 90-minute section, so they'll be able to say, we're gonna do this to this for this time, this to this for this time. Is that what the goal of this is?
Put your earphone back on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it's not working.
I am so sorry I was muted. So what this will do is this will help them to better plan their time as to how they're going to teach. Will this be and I know with that, would this be also something that Ms. Nave as principal or whoever their assigned leader is, that you all will help them to develop after these sessions?
Yes, Ms. Amara, once we've gone through this training with our teachers, our administrators will know how to come in and effectively monitor and assess the way that the transitions are being used within 90 minutes. So often teachers are compelled to just give double work to fill the time of 90 minutes, but there has to be a level of transitions where the students are doing different activities and learning. There's the I do, you do, we do method, so that it's released over to them and they're not just doing the double work. It's differentiated for each student. So we want to hope that this training will allow for that, and it also give us as the administrators and evaluators an opportunity to know what to look for when we're going into the classroom.
Thank you.
Ms. Sharp, this is the first time I've heard you use prayer to try to get the SAB to approve something.
I'm praying too.
Just a comment for you, Ms. Nave. When we implemented the block schedule in University City, one of our biggest challenges was getting teachers to have enough material to teach for 90 minutes as opposed to what they're regularly, whether it was 45 or 55 minutes. So is that a challenge at Riverview Gardens High School?
It is a challenge, especially when we're getting newer teachers coming in. They're not used to teaching for 90 minutes. And so you'll notice that teachers are coming through with more copying, with worksheets, and just trying to fill that time. And so once we know that there's a problem, that we need to go in there and help them through that process. So yes, it is a challenge, but not as much, but mostly we see it a lot with our newer teachers and some experience as well.
Okay, no other questions. Riverview Gardens High School 21-22 Extended Learning Opportunities, Ms. Nave.
Good evening again, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues and community. I come before you this evening essentially wanting to get an extended learning opportunities for our scholars at the high school. As we've heard over and over, the pandemic has really hit our scholars in a way that just cannot be explained. We have noticed that a number of our scholars did not earn the credit that they needed to matriculate on with their graduation cohort group. I was speaking with a member of the team. 155 of our sophomores were earned less than 3 credits last year. As such, we are hoping to have an extended learning program opportunity that would be after school for tutoring, as well as some extended learning virtual opportunities for credit recovery. This opportunity would allow for our math, English, and science individuals, as well as any other certificated teacher, to work with students to earn credit, but also with I need to just be transparent. We have 5 math vacancies at the high school. So with that, we want to have some opportunities for our certified math teachers to work with those students who are now working with a guest teacher to get some improvement there. So my recommendation, the Riverview Gardens High School is requesting approval of the extended learning program, which will offer opportunities after school as well as virtually with our certificated staff on Saturdays with the extra duty pay and the federal general ledger accounts that are listed above. We're asking that this be paid through our federal funds in an amount not to exceed $55,200. Each staff member would have up to 80 hours each working with students. And each student, each staff member would be given a roster of students through the counselor to work with. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald,
Questions?
Ms. Real,
No questions.
Ms. Nave, how will it be monitored to make sure that students are attending these extended learning opportunities to the point that there should be a teacher in that area?
So we're having all of our students who are staying after school, of course, they have to go through the sign-in sheet. And each administrator, there's an assistant principal that stays every evening until the activity bus arrives. So that administrator would be responsible for going through and monitoring that what is on the paper is actually what's in the classroom. In addition, we will monitor with the SIS logins, each teacher for every touch that they have with each student would have to be logged into the SIS K-12. We would also have a specialized Google Classroom for those after school hours that will allow the administrators and counselors to monitor what's going on within the classroom and how many touches are happening or occurring in the class. As well, we will also be able to look through Edgenuity, which will be used for our credit recovery, and we can see how often the students are there on Edgenuity, working with the teacher, and how much time they're idle or actually working. In addition, we'll be able to see how many touches that the teacher has had with that student working with them through the process and how many credits were earned at the end of the year throughout this process.
That is an excellent response, and I appreciate it very much. The next item, 2021-2022 secondary school Read 180. I've got multiple originators: Nave, Clark, Lenoir, Austin, and Singleton. Who's going to present?
I'm going to go ahead and present for the team. This recommendation is for the renewal or continuation of services for the Read 180 and System 44 program at the secondary schools, which include Central Middle School, Westview Middle School, and Riverview Gardens High School. Read 180 is a research-based intensive reading intervention, which significantly increases the reading achievement of struggling readers in grades transitional 3 and above. They're working in the areas of phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary development, grammar usage, writing, spelling, and comprehension. Approval of this Read 180 system and System 44 would meet the learning needs and support the literacy goals of the secondary schools. The budget impact for this would be, as listed here, $15,210 for Read 180 Universal Stage, System 44, Stage C for the high school, with the federal general ledger account listed there. And then $25,350 for Read 180 Universal Stage B, System 44, digital licenses for the two middle schools, with both federal general ledger accounts for each middle school, with a total not to exceed $40,560. So this evening, Riverview Gardens High School, Central Middle School, and Westview Middle School are all requesting approval for the renewal of services for the Read 180 system for the 21-22 school year to be paid through federal funds in an amount not to exceed $40,560. Are there any questions?
Ms. Real.
So I'm going to assume, since you guys are requesting a renewal of this, that you saw signs of improvement last year?
Last year, and I, of course, middle school, please jump in. Last year, we still had our Read 180 teachers working with the scholars. I don't want to mislead the board to say that we saw a significant amount of growth, but we know that with the students being out for this pandemic, we know that it is very necessary.
Okay.
And so we would like to continue on with that program this year.
Thank you.
Ms. Oswald?
I had asked my questions earlier through email.
No, I have no questions. Thank you, Ms. Nave.
Thank you.
Higher School Annual Subscription Agreement. That's Ms. Williams, Monica Williams.
Good evening, Special Administrator Administrative Board, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I will be presenting an item for discussion, the Power School Annual Subscription Agreement. And this is for our applicant tracking system that we use in the district. This is for a renewal of the subscription and license fees. It is budgeted in human resources. The amount is $7,259.78. That is an increase from our last contract of $279.22. Is recommendation for the approval of the annual renewal agreement with Power School for licenses and subscription fees for the contract dated December 16, 2021 through December 15, 2022 in the amount of $7,259.78.
Questions, Ms. Oswald?
Question.
Ms. Morreale?
I have no questions.
I have no questions. Continue with temporary staffing in HR, Ms. Williams.
This is another item for discussion for temporary staffing in the Human Resources Department for our benefits administration. For the last 2 months, we've had a temporary worker from K-Force, temporary staffing, administering benefits, and we need an extension at this time in order to ensure the continuity of the work and to minimize the disruption in services. It is budgeted in the human resources budget. The next 4 to 6 weeks is not to exceed $9,000, and it is recommended that the Special Administrative Board approve the Human Resources Department to extend the contract with K-Force Temporary Staffing Agency to utilize a temporary benefits administrator for an additional 4 to 6 weeks. Are there any questions?
Ms. Morreale?
I have no questions.
Ms. Oswald?
No question.
I have no questions. We've removed item I, DocuSign electronic signature from the agenda. So we'll go to J, students in transition, alternative transportation. Dr. Patton.
Good afternoon, SAB members, Dr. Spurgeon, colleagues, and staff members. And Dr. Beckwith, I have great news. I have the next 5 items. And just for the record, I am a praying woman also. So I'll throw that in there.
Okay.
I'm presenting for discussion a student alternative to students in transition transportation. As you know, we are committed to providing transportation to all of our students within the RGSD boundaries and those that live outside of the RGSD boundaries. The McKinney-Vento law requires us to provide transportation for our students who are living in transition to maintain their enrollment in their educational environment. Historically, this transportation has been provided by school bus services, cab services, and EMT services. However, with the decrease in drivers, as you know, within bus transportation and cab services and EMT services, it has been very difficult to get transportation for our students who are living in transition outside of our community. I have consulted with our attorneys relative to the consent decree, and we have come up with various options for providing services to our students, which range from purchasing gas cards for our families to gas reimbursements, to public bus passes, utilizing Lyft and Uber services. Some school districts have even purchased vans and are providing transportation that way. Under these circumstances, it is important for RGSD to consider alternative methods. And to that end, it is recommended that the SAB approve the purchase of gas cards and public bus passes as additional methods for providing transportation to our students in transition population for a cost not to exceed $10,000. This amount could be increased. I have to be honest and say that because our SID population is increasing on a daily basis. And so this amount, I may have to come back to the board and ask for additional money. This amount is budgeted and it is under contracted pupil services within the student services line item. Are there any questions?
Oswald?
Yes. How would we keep track of the gas cards?
Right.
Well, we would keep track of the gas cards within the student services department, and parents would have to, we would come up with the method, Mrs. Oswald, that parents would have to, first of all, we'd have to prove that this student will be in attendance, and parents have been trying to get them here. And then we would ensure that those parents are the ones that are getting the gas cards. I mean, we could probably come up with other ways, but as I see it, Mrs. Oswald, the best way is to maintain those gas cards within the Student Services Department and come up with a official method that parents would have to utilize to access those gas cards.
Ms. Mario?
I don't have any questions, but I think that I had kind of mentioned this, something like this at the last meeting. So I am glad to see that you all are taking in consideration alternative methods.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Morville, you did mention that.
Yes. Ms. Oswald mentioned my point. This is subject to abuse, the gas cards, and I know they are needed, but we've got to figure out a way to, at least if we're questioning, we did have a monitoring system. You only get a gas card a week or whatever.
Okay.
So
Yes, sir. Dr. Beckwith, I will have a method to make sure that there's no abuse with these and that we are accounting for them in the usage of them.
Okay, go to K, SSD reimbursement MOU.
So a few months ago, I presented the district's trauma-informed practices that was approved by the board. At that time, I shared with you that we were in partnership with the special school district who would be providing upwards of about $200,000 in an effort to support Riverview Gardens with trauma-informed practices. This is simply the MOU for the reimbursement of those charges that SSD will pay Riverview Gardens. They will reimburse us up to $172,000. That is for 2 behavior interventionists, as well as $20,000 for trauma-informed training for our certified and our classified staff. This will be in reimbursement form, so we will have to use the regular salary line item to cover the charges for the 2 behavior interventionists within the Student Services Department, and then we would bill SSD for the amount each month. We would do this on a monthly basis, and we would get paid monthly as a reimbursement. It is recommended that the SAB approve the MOU with Special School District to reimburse our school district for the cost of 2 district interventionists, as well as trauma-informed training in the amount of not to exceed at least $172,000. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald?
The 2 behavior interventionists, those will serve across the district, and how do you determine when and where they'll be used?
So Ms. Oswald, they have been assigned to different areas of the school district. One is assigned to the west and east side. I think those are the 2 directions, but they've been assigned to certain schools, and they will be supporting the school districts in those particular assigned schools in collaboration with our district interventionist, Deirdre Liddell, as well as the counselors and social workers that are a part of those buildings. You're welcome.
I have no questions.
Okay. Dr. Patton, am I to understand we already have those interventionists on board?
Yes, sir. We already have them on board.
All right. No other questions?
Thank you.
Supplemental healthcare MOU?
Did we skip one, Dr.?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
District Safety Officer Trauma-Informed Training. Thank you.
All right. In conjunction with the trauma-informed training on September the 24th, which will be a professional development day, we have the opportunity to make sure that our security team is trained with trauma-informed practices. So we will have Alive and Well come in and present a 3-hour training to our DSOs. It is important that since they are with our students on a daily basis, it's important that they are trained in trauma-informed practices in order to effectively support our students and the environment in which they are in. So it is recommended that the SAB approve the trauma-informed training for district safety officers in the amount not to exceed $2,000, and this will be charged to the DSO line item. However, we will ask for reimbursement, the DSO salary line item, I apologize. However, we will ask for reimbursement from the special school district. Are there any questions?
Ms. Morrill?
No questions.
Ms. Oswald?
No question.
Help me to understand, Dr. Patton, This training, is it being given during the normal school day?
It is, sir, but that's when, on September the 24th, it is a professional learning day. So our students will not be on school grounds, and our district safety office will not, they only work when students are present.
Then you've answered my question. Let's proceed then to the supplemental healthcare MOU.
In the face of this pandemic, we are in need to hire an additional nurse at the high school to support the 1,200 students there. Currently, we have one nurse at the high school with 1,200 students, as well as an additional nurse at Lewis and Clark to relieve our lead nurse to support our district with the contact tracing and quarantining and letters and all of the interviewing that we have to do, as well as communicating with the St. Louis Department of Health and the CDC. In addition, currently we have 2 people operating, and both nurses are assigned to a building. We have them operating as our contact tracing team in conjunction with their responsibilities of their building. So I am proposing to the SAB that they approve a COVID MOU for supplemental health care to add 3 additional health positions. It will be 2 nurses, 1 for the high school, 1 for Lewis and Clark, as well as a contact tracer that is dedicated only to contact tracing in the amount of $163,063. It is recommended that the SAB approve this amount, and we will ask for a reimbursement utilizing ESSER funds. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald?
No question.
Ms. Morrell?
No questions.
Dr. Patton, the last time I looked, Lewis and Clark had slightly over 100 students enrolled, and we're giving them a full-time nurse for 100 students. Let me finish.
Yes, sir. Go
When at
ahead.
the same time, other schools that have, elementary schools that have 300 students, they have one nurse also.
Dr. Becker, Lewis and Clark currently has a full-time nurse. They've had one since I've been here. So last year they had an enrollment, I believe, of 134 students, and they had a full-time nurse. What I would do is utilize the lead nurse to support those other schools that you just mentioned that have 300 or 400 students. So the lead nurse will be relieved to go around and support all of the other nurses. The contact tracer is specific to just contact tracing for our school district. So she will serve no other purpose but to support the contact tracing needs for our district.
Understood. And your last item?
The last item is a contact tracing stipend to provide to one of our school nurses who have been involved in contact tracing since the beginning of the 2021 school year. She has been a real godsend in supporting us. She's gone through the Johns Hopkins training to learn contact tracing, and she has been supporting us without just out of the goodness of her heart. And what I'd like to do is to provide a stipend for her to continue that. And as we see, as we've moved into this school year, we are contact tracing, I should say they are contact tracing much more often than they were last year. Last year, I believe we had slightly over 100 students on the high school campuses, and the majority of our students were virtual. This year, they are on our campus, so we are being inundated with contact tracing needs from the student perspective as well as the employee perspective. So it is recommended that the SAB approve a $25 per hour stipend for a district nurse to support the Riverview Garden school community with district contact tracing in an effort to keep our school campuses safe. This cost is not to exceed $3,000, and this cost will be submitted for reimbursement through ESSER 3 funding. Are there any questions?
Ms. Oswald?
No question.
Ms. Morrell?
No questions.
Okay. I understand the need and support the stipend. I'm just wondering why we're calling that a stipend. Usually stipends are after the normal work day. That being said, I'm assuming she's doing this contract tracing after the normal workday?
Dr. Beckwith, she is contact tracing during her workday, on weekends, after hours, but she is doing it all day, and she's doing it in conjunction with supporting the building that she's assigned to.
Okay. I'm just trying to keep us legal here. You need to work something out with Ms. Williams, where the stipend is good, but it's for what she does after the normal workday.
Okay.
Now, how she does that's fine. But officially, if it's going to be a stipend, just like with coaches and so forth, it has to be done after the normal workday.
Okay.
All right?
Dr. Beckwith, I will work with Ms. Williams, and we will get that taken care of.
Oh, very good. We're now
That is
down
my
to our
presentation.
consent-
Thank you.
We're now down to our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question? Just a point of order that I overlooked looking at the budget transaction report. So Dr. Singleton, if I have some questions, I will get them to you tomorrow about the budget transaction report.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of the consent agenda, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion passes. We're now down to our action items. CARE St. Louis retroactive COVID-19 testing MOU. May I have a motion for approval?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Student in transition alternative transportation methods. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question. Are there any? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. C, SSD reimbursement MOU. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question. Are there any questions? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. D, safety officer trauma-informed training. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Ready for the question. Are there any? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Supplemental hearing care, healthcare MOU for additional nurses. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. And our final item, contact tracing stipend. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Ready for the question? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. That completes our agenda. May I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ready for the question? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
We are adjourned. And Dr. Patton, will you see me for a moment, please? That concludes our-
Absolutely.
That concludes our agenda.